make sure there's a couple paragraphs in the bill. Number one, in Ohio, we do not require children's literature for elementary school teachers as a requirement to graduate from college. I think a children's literature requirement would improve the quality of the instruction from new teachers coming into our system for reading. I think that's something that's very important. There are a number of studies nationwide who have come to the conclusion, Michigan State University, and there was one just came out of Colorado.
Who? Which school? No, you're saying...
Well, Governor, I'm not against taking the research others are willing to pay for.
Okay, well, I mean, there's some...
I'm cheap. I pretty hard.
You're saying that you think that before somebody is able to be a teacher, they ought to have a course in this literature.
Yes,
I think it's, I think it's a great idea. We got to talk to, to Petro, and I think that's right.
I think it belongs there. I think Dr. Janet Hickman, Professor Emeritus
I'm
at
all
Ohio
for
State
it.
University, is the national expert in it. You can pick her brain for free.
I tell all children when I meet with them, are you reading? And the problem with the internet now and with the Disney Channel and everything else is it made it too easy for them not to read. And reading expands the brain, the mind, and I tell kids, you're in the 4th grade, what are you going to do this summer? Are you going to read? Well, I said, well, read what you like. If you like fashion, read fashion. If you like sports, read sports. If you like detectives, read detectives. Just don't read, Style magazine. You don't need to read that. But you read anything, right? I agree with you.
Another item I would like to see considered in the bill is an adjustment to how we award the licensure for
Are you giving
school media specialists.
I'm going to answer your questions as long as it's one. Yes, sir.
School media specialists, licensure requirement in Ohio is basically a 3-course class to be a school librarian or school media specialist.
Tell me what it is. Stan, do you hear this?
Oh, he's heard it.
He's heard it?
I want to make sure you hear it, Governor.
Yeah.
But in Ohio, we know the fact that if you have a master's in library science degree, that you should be eligible to be a school media specialist. It's not approved in our licensure, but yet, if you have a master's in library science degree, you can teach the classes that the school media specialist has to take. So it's an oversight that we need to correct legislatively.
I would argue, Governor, that the whole licensure about school media needs to be reviewed intensively. I think there's deeper problems yet than Mr.
I'm going to give you a BS. Why don't we stick some language in the bill that says that we'll have a commission or something that will study this whole issue? You can work it up, Stan.
Yes,
Stick it in the bill. Easy to do. Yes.
One of the reasons I consider that so important was the study I mentioned that's 10 years old out of Michigan State University, and the one that's 2 weeks old out of the Colorado Library Research Commission, was that schools that have a trained librarian in them have significant improvement in the reading scores up through the 8th grade, from kindergarten all the way up. And we have to find a way to make sure we support schools with a school media specialist, whether we're talking about Cleveland or whether we're talking about Paid Valley. We need to find a way to get the trained people into the schools because they assist the teacher in achieving their goals.
Well, we'll look at it. I went to New York to ask somebody to help me in my last campaign, and he asked me, well, why should I help you? And I gave him an answer, and he said, okay, I'll help you. And then I went on to explain, and he said, I teach my young salesmen, whenever they sell a policy, to get the hell out of the room before they talk themselves out. So, anyway, no, we're going to do that for you. I think it's good. What else? How about, I haven't even thought about this, if you'll consider doing something in support of Mayor Jackson today. I think that'd be fantastic. And you don't have to check with anybody, just check with your heart. Yes, sir. Well, maybe you can get him on speakerphone and he can tell you about all of it, yeah. Well, let's see if there's a way before you leave today, we can get something here on the legal plan and take a look at it, Mary Rose. You never read the bills, so why are you worried about the plan? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, last one. we should share it with them.
The Superintendent Gordon did address the board last month.
Oh. Well, let's get them back on and do, look, it will matter. If this board, what's that, Vera?
This is attached to the plan.
Yeah, okay, well, let's get it, and look, I didn't even come in here with this, but now that I'm standing here thinking, if the board would come out and say, we should do it, and you can also say, you know, it's a legislative process, as you know, so if they want to change things as it moves through, we don't want to deny Cleveland this. Hey, listen, I'm begging you. I'm begging you as a human beings to just not let this thing go down the drain. I mean, Mary Rose, I worry about what happens to Cleveland. I mean, I can tell you, Ratner and those people, they're washing their hands. And Al is up, he's doing this whole thing. And any help we can give them to encourage people, and you could write the language any way you want to, but some sort of an encouragement would really matter. Last one. Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you letting us be a part of your day today. And I just like to know what your thought is, and I really haven't brought up this to the whole board, but what's your thought on going away from, in high school, general course, to you have college prep, or you have career tech? I mean, of course, when I was in school, just took the general course, come out, I went to work for the Postal Service and retired from that. You don't find those opportunities anymore even in I don't say this, but in the Postal Service. You have to have some type of higher learning to get the good job. And it's that way with the plants and other things. And what's your feeling toward that?
That's what these technical schools can do. I would encourage you at some point maybe to go and hold a meeting at Butler Tech. I've never been to Butler Tech, but from what I understand, it's incredible. So you can get both. Here's the thing that I think about. We don't want to say pick now either or. I think what we want to say is pick both. We can, look, if you don't know math, if you don't know English, if you don't know computing, I don't care if you're working, you've been to an auto assembly line, an auto factory. If you're not skilled, you're not going to be working. There is nothing I can think of today that doesn't require some advanced education. That's why our community colleges have to be more active, because when people get certificates, even if it's not a 2-year degree, they make more money. And the more we certificate, the more we graduate, the better we do as a state. But that's why what I want to do is make sure we can measure the academic success of the technical school. So we're not saying, I might want to be a pharmacist, I might want to be, work on cars, I might want to be a farmer. I don't want to get them to the point where they choose without getting good, solid academics. And I think what we're doing in this bill, it's really important. Can you imagine we've never measured the academic capability of the technical school? Every day I come to work, I wonder, what the hell have they been doing in this state for the last 30 years? How do they not measure that, Mary Rose? I mean, how do you go to Butler Tech and nobody says how your academics are going? So we'll get that done. And sir, I think it's consistent with what you're talking about. What did you do in the post office?
Well, I did a little bit. I started out the bottom, worked way up the post office. So
my father is a communications specialist. He delivered the mail from house to house.
Yeah.